important um, nutrient for blood glucose control. So let's see, we've switched the slides to our, you should be seeing the objectives now, the slide with the objectives. So the objectives of today's presentation is first of all to understand what fiber is, to learn how it affects blood sugar and blood glucose, and to talk about the best sources of fiber, and then practical tips on how to increase your fiber if you are currently not getting enough fiber. So first of all, what is fiber? So fiber is a part of a plant that the body can't digest, and it comes in two different forms: soluble and insoluble fiber. So soluble fiber dissolves in water and forms kind of like a gel. And this gel helps to slow the digestion process. This can also help to lower your cholesterol and also even out and lower blood sugars. Soluble fiber also has an important role in supporting our gut health, which also can tie into blood glucose controls. The key benefits of soluble fiber is to help slow digestion, regulate blood sugar, lowering your bad cholesterol, and feeding a healthy gut. And then we'll talk about some common food sources in just a moment. Insoluble fiber, on the other hand, does not dissolve in water. So, insoluble fiber actually helps to add bulk to stool and to the digestive tract. So, this actually helps to push food through the digestive tract. And this can also help control blood sugar and lower cholesterol as well. Both forms of fiber work in different ways, but they both have kind of the same end goal. And they are found, some are found in different foods and some are found in the same foods. So as you can see from this chart here, some foods contain both soluble and insoluble fiber. Most of the fiber that you're going to consume will come from plant-based foods. So that's going to be your fresh fruits and vegetables, or fruits and vegetables in general, whole grains, nuts, legumes, beans, seeds, those types of foods. So it's really important to try to eat a variety of foods and to try to include some of these plant-based foods in all of your meals or with all of your meals. So, how does fiber help with blood sugar? So, we know that both type 1 and type 2 diabetes um, means that there is some sort of issue with insulin. So, with type 1, it's usually that your body is not making enough insulin or making insulin. And with type 2 diabetes, it's usually an issue with how your body is utilizing the insulin. So the goal for both types of diabetes is definitely to avoid blood sugar highs and lows. The goal for everyone all throughout the day is to try to keep your blood sugars very even, and to avoid these ups and downs, dips and flows. So fiber really can help with that by helping to reduce post-meal glucose spikes. So, what that means is, as we were talking in the earlier slides about the fiber forming a gel or adding bulk, fiber is going to take a lot longer for your body to process and metabolize. And so, the longer that your body is processing and metabolizing the food, the longer it's going to take for the glucose to be brought into the bloodstream. This it can also help to improve insulin sensitivity by helping to slower the carbohydrate digestion, um, thus reducing blood sugar spikes, and also helping to promote beneficial gut bacteria, which can also produce short chain fatty acids, which can actually help improve insulin sensitivity. And insulin sensitivity means that the insulin is sensitive and is working the way that it's supposed to work. So there have been several studies that have showed that people with diabetes who eat more fiber actually do have lower A1C levels. better weight control, and reduced cholesterol. The lower A1C levels come from maintaining a blood blood sugar throughout the day, avoiding those spikes and valleys, and also having the fiber helping to slow down the rate of the glucose entering the bloodstream. Um, Better weight control is if the food is taking a little bit longer to empty from the stomach, or what we call gastric emptying. And when that process is slowed down, then obviously we will be feeling fuller for longer. And so, if it's taking a lot longer for the body to digest and process food, then our hunger levels are going to stay a little bit more even throughout the day as well. And we're less likely to overeat when that happens. And then the soluble and insoluble fiber, forming the gel and adding bulk to the stool, can also help to lower cholesterol from our bloodstreams or from our veins. So this is just a chart to kind of show a little bit about how the different types of fiber work. You can see the soluble fiber attracts the water and turns it into a gel. This helps to slow digestion and to slow gastric emptying, which in turn helps to lower the blood sugar, because the longer it's taking the food to work through the stomach and be digested and metabolized, then the slower the glucose is going to get into the bloodstream. This insoluble fiber is made of non-soluble cellulose, which helps to speed through food through the digestive tract. So that's a little different than the stomach portion. The digestive tract is going to be, your intestines, and so once it empties the food, empties from the stomach, it's going to get into the digestive tract. And when you're not eating enough fiber, there's times where the food could possibly get stuck in that digestive tract, which can cause a lot of issues in terms of nutrient absorption and things like that. And then constipation, or if it's moving too quickly, diarrhea. So the insoluble fiber is going to help to prevent those things from happening, because it's going to keep the food, once it leaves the stomach, it's going to keep it moving through the digestive tract at a proper rate. And then you can see them both combined help pass through the body without elevating the glucose, and aid in blood glucose control and insulin response. So, how much fiber should one be eating in a day? This chart here gives you an idea of what adults should be consuming in a day. So, for adult men and women, anywhere between 20 to 38 grams of fiber a day. Most people are only averaging about 15 grams a day. So, we're going to talk a little bit now about where you can get that fiber from. Um, what first thing we want to talk about is, as we think about increasing fiber, we definitely want to go slow with this. Um, Adding too much fiber too soon can cause bloating, gas, and just some general uncomfortableness. So, you want to make sure that you're slowly increasing your fiber intake. So, if you're one of those people who is at the lower end, maybe you're only getting about 15 grams of fiber a day, and you want to reach that 25 mark. It might be a good idea to start maybe 5 grams at a time as your body is getting used to it, and kind of work your way up. You also want to make sure that you drink lots of water. As you increase your fiber, you want to make sure you're drinking water to help the fiber run through the body properly, and to also avoid some of that bloating and gas. Some other tips are to switch some of your grains, or most of your grains, to whole grains. We'll look at some labels in just a minute, and I can show you how to figure that out on your food labels. But when you're looking at ingredient labels on food, you want to make sure that your grain products are starting with whole a whole grain. So whether it's whole wheat or whole oats, That's what you want to be looking for in your ingredient list. So if you're currently used to eating white bread, switching over to a whole grain bread, whole wheat bread, whole oat bread, maybe adding beans to soups and salad. Beans are chock full of fiber. Snacking on raw fruits, raw veggies and hummus, nuts and seeds, adding some of those things to your snacks throughout the day, and then reading your labels. We're going to talk in just a minute. You want to be looking for food items that have 3 grams of fiber or more per serving. Those food items are considered good sources of fiber if it has 3 or more grams per serving. So you can see here um, on our food label. I'm not sure if you can see my pointer or not. I was trying to add the pointer, but um, the fiber is going to be listed underneath the carbohydrate. So for this brown berry whole wheat bread, you can see the dietary fiber for one slice of bread is 3 grams. So that would be considered a good source of fiber. Um, Looking over here at your Quaker oats, um, this is showing 4 grams of fiber per serving. And then you can see up here at the top, a serving size for this particular item is going to be 1 cup of dry oats. So 1 cup of dry oats is going to give you 4 grams of dietary fiber. This particular food item also has it broken down into your soluble fiber. So you can see that. Fiber is required to be listed on a food label, but the type of fiber, soluble or insoluble, would not be required. So some manufacturers may choose to put that on there, but just because it's not on the food label doesn't necessarily mean it's not in the food. Um, so you will definitely be able to see the total amount of fiber on on all foods if it contains fiber, but you may not necessarily be able to see it broken down to soluble or insoluble. So another popular high fiber cereal is Raisin Bran. And this food label has it broken down with just 1 cup of cereal. You can see the serving size is 1 cup here. And then if you were to add 3/4 cup of skim milk, so that's actually not going to change the fiber content for your cereal, but you can see here underneath the carbs, the dietary fiber for 1 cup of raisin bran is going to be 7 grams. And then here you can also see the ingredients listed. So see how it says whole grain wheat? So that's what you want to make sure you're looking for in your ingredient labels is the type of grain or flour that they're using. This one also, of course, has raisins, which are a dried fruit, and dried fruit are usually high in fiber as well. The only thing to caution about this particular cereal is it does have a little bit of added sugar, quite a bit. And so, maybe looking for a brand cereal out there that may be a little bit less in your added sugar. But this particular cereal is very high in dietary fiber. So it's important to kind of look at your whole label and decide if a product is right for you. So this next slide here goes through some high fiber content foods. And you can see here it's broken down into categories. And so this is where you're going to find most of your fiber. It's going to be in your fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds, beans, legumes, grains, and cereals. So any particular item that doesn't have a packaged food label, you can look up a chart similar to this to see how much fiber is going to be in per serving. The items are listed out with the serving size and then the grams of fiber per serving. So it may be that it could be helpful to just add some of these things to the foods that you're already eating to help boost your fiber. So if you're eating like eggs for breakfast, maybe adding some fresh vegetables with your eggs. So maybe it's tomatoes and spinach to your eggs, and then having a side of fruit. And so that could help boost your fiber and still being able to have those eggs that you enjoy in the morning as well. Or maybe adding nuts or berries to your cereal in the morning can help boost the fiber of your cereal. So it may be easier to think about kind of adding some of these foods into your already foods that you're eating, or adding them to the meals that you're creating already, um, instead of thinking about just eating these types of foods. So the next couple slides kind of go through a fiber-rich meal plan, and I wanted to include these slides to just show you how easy it is to increase your fiber intake. And it is maybe just a matter of adding more fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds to your food. These particular meal plans, for me, don't pretty seem like a pretty I guess, regular. It's not like a vegetarian diet or a vegan diet or something that may not be suitable for everybody. Adding more fiber to your meals can be something that anybody on any type of meal plan or any type of diet can do. So like I said, it's more of a matter of just like adding these plant-based foods to the foods that you're already eating. So if you're used to eating, yogurt, maybe it's adding granola, whole grain granola, nuts or berries to that, and that's going to significantly boost the fiber content. Maybe it's adding a side salad or extra vegetables at lunch. Or if you're, making fish at home, maybe it's grinding up some nuts and using that as a coating when you bake your fish. Things like that are some easy ways that you can just help to increase. Um, some other high fiber foods could be chia seeds or flax seeds, and you can find those at pretty much any grocery store. They're typically either in the bulk food aisle or with some of the packaged nuts and seeds. But flaxseed and chia seeds, you can sprinkle those on your food, or you can cook with them or add them to baked items. But they are very high in fiber and protein as well. And then this next slide, this one might be a little bit harder to read, but I included this one. It was similar to the one before, but at the bottom, it kind of gives you a total of how many grams of fiber you would be consuming if you followed a meal plan similar to this one. And again, this is just a pretty generalized meal plan. It focuses on balancing, so including lean proteins, complex carbohydrates that are high in fiber, those plant-based items that are higher in fiber, um, a variety of fruits and vegetables, just a little bit of everything, and to show how you can add those things and still significantly increase your daily fiber. So the fiber is the second to bottom number here at the bottom on the nutrition panel. Some common pitfalls and some things I just want to caution you on when thinking about increasing fiber is jumping in too fast or too soon or too much can cause that uncomfortable feeling, can cause a lot of gas and cramps and bloating, which may deter people from continuing to increase the fiber. So the way that we combat that is, like I mentioned before, is to definitely start slow. So maybe it's just adding a gram or two of fiber per meal each day, and having like a total of 5, 6 grams of fiber each day until you kind of build up that tolerance for the fiber. And so you're sure that you're not having those uncomfortable side effects. Um, Other pitfalls is not drinking enough water. So as you increase your fiber, you will also want to increase your water consumption. That I mentioned, the water will definitely help the fiber make its way through the body and not put you in a position where you are feeling those uncomfortable feelings or side effects. And then another common pitfall is relying only on supplements. So I'm going to talk a little bit about supplements now. Supplements can be a good thing, but they are just that. They supplement what you're already doing. So one shouldn't be completely dependent on a fiber supplement as your main source of fiber. The food that you're going to be able to eat, these plant based foods that contain fiber, also contain vitamins and minerals and antioxidants, which can help support many other things, including lowering disease risk. They may also have some benefits in managing your diabetes as well. They can help. Boost your immune system. So these are things that you definitely want to be incorporating in your diet. And so if you're only relying on a supplement or a fiber supplement rather, to get your fiber needs or to meet that 25 to 30 grams of fiber a day, you're going to be missing out on a lot of other nutrients that are just as important. Um, so if it feels like, you're trying all these different things, or maybe there's some of these high fiber foods that you just don't like, or they're hard for you to get into your diet every day, then using a supplement to help bridge that gap could be helpful, or using it as kind of a short term as you're figuring out how to consume more of these plant based high fiber foods, using the supplement to kind of help bridge that gap until you can get to a place where you can maybe consume your fiber requirements through food. Um, so it's important to always create a balance around what you're eating, to be eating a variety of foods, eating foods from all of the food groups, and trying to incorporate that in as many meals as you can throughout the week. And then also incorporating foods from all over, from fruits and vegetables and nuts and legumes and things like that from all across the rainbow. I know you've probably heard that term, eat your colors or eat the rainbow. Each different color category of fruits and vegetables has its own unique nutrient profile. So those red orange vegetables like carrots and tomatoes, they're really high in lycopene and vitamin A, can really help with eyesight and boosting your immune system. Those blue and purple vegetables like blueberries and eggplants are very high in cancer fighting antioxidants, along with the fiber. So, trying to eat a variety of foods throughout the day and throughout the week is a good idea to not only boost your fiber intake, but to also just boost your nutritional intake in general. So, our key takeaways for today is, fiber helps to slow sugar absorption, because it takes longer for the body to digest and process the fiber. So, the longer that your body is taking to do that process, the longer it will be before the glucose is released into the bloodstream. So, eating some of these high fiber foods. Help, instead of seeing your blood glucose going up after a meal like that and then coming back down, you may see it go up and then level out like this. And so that's really one of the main benefits of consuming as much fiber as is recommended to help with your sugar absorption. It can also help with weight management, because consuming more fiber does delay the gastric emptying. And when your stomach is full, then we feel full and we don't feel hungry and we may not eat quite as much. It can help to lower cholesterol. Fiber helps to move um, sugar and cholesterol through the bloodstream so it doesn't get stuck, and can also help to improve blood pressure in the same way it helps to improve your cholesterol. Ideally, we want to try, for adult men and women, to try to get between 25 and 30 grams of fiber a day. Getting it through food is, of course, ideal, but using a fiber supplement as a supplement can also be helpful. And then gradual changes equal long term success. So I feel like with any health goal or wellness goal, it's always best to start low and to work your way up. So if you want to create a habit and have it be a long-term lifestyle habit, the best way to do that is to start slow, slowly increase your fiber so that you are comfortable with what you're eating, and you know, make it feel like, it's not quite such a huge jump. So if you're going today trying to go from 15 grams of fiber all the way to 30 in one day, that might seem really daunting, or overwhelming. And so taking it slow at a time and slower increments and working your way up can help make it feel more like a reachable or attainable goal. And then can also, once you reach that goal, if you've manage to get there kind of slow and steady, it'll also be something that you'll be able to maintain throughout your life. So that is all I had today, and I would be happy to take some questions. Um, and you guys are welcome to add questions to the chat box.
While we're waiting to see any questions, I actually had a question. You said that with fiber, there's that longer metabolism and it affects the insulin response.
Mhm.
Mm. For people who administer insulin, does that also affect when they should administer that insulin to respond to that longer metabolism?
No, I don't think I don't know if there would be a way to manage that based just on the fiber content. It's probably still better to dose your insulin based on the total carbs in the food item or in the meal, instead of getting down to the nitty gritty of the exact amount of fiber.
Great, awesome.
Okay, let's see. I had a couple questions come in. Um, what kind of food do you think would be perfect after exercise? So it depends on the type of exercise that you're doing, but really you want to try to have something that combines a little bit of protein and a little bit of a complex carbohydrate or a high fiber carbohydrate. Um, to be quite honest with you, there's been a few studies that show chocolate milk is a really good post workout drink, because it has the perfect ratio of carbs and protein. It has a little bit of sugar that can help with some of the sugar loss that you have, and electrolyte loss that you have. And then it's naturally has naturally occurring electrolytes like magnesium, um, calcium, and sodium. But in general, you probably want to do so like a lean protein, maybe like a nut butter and fruit, or cheese and fruit, something that is going to give you a little bit of a carbohydrate boost to help with the carbs that were lost during exercise. And then if you're doing any kind of weight training, you want to make sure you pair that with a protein. And then in terms of like exercising and managing diabetes, making sure to have a protein, a lean protein with your carbohydrate post meal. Um, the protein, it also takes a little bit of extra time to process and digest. So if you're consuming a protein with a carb, again, those carbohydrates or glucose rather will take a little bit longer to get into the bloodstream, and so that can help with any kind of post-exercise glucose spikes and things like that if you're consuming a carb right after exercising. Um, is there a suggested limit to added sugar? Um, I don't believe that there has been any kind of concrete added sugar limit suggestion that's come out from the ADA, or the organization that does our nutrient requirements and suggestions. I do know that for most like sweetened items, if you're just looking at one particular item, anything with 6 grams or less of added sugar is kind of been what people have been talking about. But I'm not sure that I've seen like a daily added sugar limit that has been recommended from an evidence-based standpoint. Yeah, and the Raisin Bran does have a lot of added sugar, and so that's why it's always important to read your full nutrition label. Um, because it does, if you were just looking at the fiber on that particular item, it would look like, oh, this is a great item. It's got 7 grams fiber per 1 cup of cereal. But then, to also take a look at the added sugar. And so that might be something if you're, wanting to reduce added sugar, or if you're concerned about added sugar, then, you definitely want to take a look at the rest of the food label and see, do you feel like that's an appropriate food item for you? Um, I think that was all of the questions. I just went back up the chat. It looks like someone else is typing something in right now.
Yeah, we might be getting one more question.
But again, I apologize for for the audio. I'm not sure. I'll have to check my headset for sure. Let's see. Is there a cereal like recommend that doesn't have a lot of added sugar? Um, So, again, you probably want to make sure that you're checking food labels no matter what. I am trying to think, a lot of the cereals are going to have some added sugar. Um, any kind of granola or like a grape nuts kind of cereal, something like that, doesn't typically have a lot of added sugar. Oatmeal, if you're making the oats or doing the oats at home, then usually it doesn't have any added sugar. So then you can also, add any other kind of sweetener that you want, whether it's sugar or honey or, something like that. Um, I can see the label of the cereal that I'm thinking of and can't think of the name offhand. But unfortunately, it's probably going to be some of those cereals that are a little bit boring, not very exciting. Those are going to be the ones that are probably going to be a little higher in fiber and lower in sugar. But the thing, if you do decide to go that route, or you might be able to find a brand cereal that's doesn't have the added sugar, and maybe it's just the bran flakes. Your Chex cereals may be lower in sugar as well. Rice Chex, corn Chex, wheat Chex, those types. And again, those aren't quite as exciting as some of the other cereals that are out there, but you could really jazz it up and add more flavor to it by adding your fresh fruit, some berries. Maybe adding a little bit, some nuts to give it some crunch, and the nuts are also going to have some fiber. So you can really do something that way and make some of those lower sugar cereals seem a little bit more exciting. Okay, it looks like someone added Bob's Red Mill rolled oats have zero added sugar. And so, yeah, that's a popular brand you can find at most grocery stores. And so again, that's something, you can kind of start with that base and then add whatever you want. And another thing too, with something like that, if you are kind of dressing it up with fruits and nuts and, adding, you can make it different every day. So maybe it doesn't quite feel like you're having the same thing every day. Of course, you can do seasonal fruits added to a cereal like that, or oatmeal. And maybe changing out your toppings on the cereal can help make it not quite feel like it's the same thing every day. Yes, jazz it up with the calculated amount of sugar, fruits, and granola. When you're on the go, are bananas a good source of fiber for snacking? Yes, bananas are a good source of fiber. Um, Other fruit that has a peel on it, or like a skin rather, like apple, pears, those types of foods, nectarines, peaches, those are also going to be really high in fiber. The skin on the fruit has a lot of fiber. So bananas do have fiber as well, and they are an easy to grab and go. But also taking some of those fruit with the skin on it could be an easy grab and go. Avocados, believe it or not, have about 15 grams of fiber. That may not be the best, like on the go type food, but it is something that not a lot of people realize are as high in fiber as they are. Um, so yeah, those would be some great on the go. Hummus is high in fiber, so if you had like a some of those to go hummus packs that you could pair with something like pretzels or carrot sticks or even apples, something like that can give you an on the go um, booster, fiber booster. Let's see. Let's see. Somebody else also added the Simple Truth coconut vanilla. Oh, that was the granola. That didn't have any added sugar. It does contain an artificial sugar alcohol. Um, and then yeah, we have a comment here about frozen berries. Yeah, my kids love that. In the summer, they do frozen grapes and frozen berries. Those are really nice when it's hot outside. You can grab those, and they do. It's like a little popsicle. And it's also a good way to keep the fruit. So if you find yourself where the fruit looks like it might be going bad, instead of throwing it out, going ahead and freezing it before it gets to a point where it can't be eaten, and then you can have it last longer, kind of extend the shelf life of your fruit. So these are some really great ideas. You can also take Greek yogurt and make like a bark with the Greek yogurt. So you can do that with frozen berries as well. You can just take Greek yogurt and spread it out over a sheet pan, and you can add some frozen berries to that, and then freeze it for a few hours, and then you can just break it apart. And so it's kind of like a frozen bark, but it gives you a little bit of a popsicle-y kind of feeling too, which could be nice in the summertime or in the warmer months. And it looks like we've got um, someone typing. We might have another question coming in. Yes, so I am reading the comments out loud as they come in. Um, it looks like we've got another question coming in. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, I know the session is being recorded, so if anyone needs to go back and listen, or if you wanted to go back and take a look at some of the slides for some information, um, you know, It's like I said, the most important thing to take away, and I think not just from this presentation, but thinking about nutrition in general, is to really try to eat a variety of foods, incorporate as many fruits and vegetables as you can throughout the day, adding a serving to your meals, and then maybe adding a serving or a half a serving with your snacks, can really not only help boost your fiber intake, but also all those other vitamins and minerals that we talked about. Um, and also help just help to provide with a lot of energy throughout the day, maintaining and even blood sugars throughout the day, and then pairing all of that with your lean proteins and complex carbohydrates, and just trying to envision that, if you're familiar with the USDA My Plate graphic, and if you're not familiar, that Googling, you can Google that and see. That's really ideally what you want your plates to look like. You want them to be half the plate fruits and vegetables, or vegetables, a quarter of the plate your lean protein, and a quarter of your plate a complex high fiber carbohydrate. And then if you can tolerate milk a couple times a day or once a day, or milk foods like yogurts and cheese, incorporating that as well. So if you can do that most of the time, then you're setting yourself up really well to be taking in all the nutrition that you need throughout the day or throughout the week. So it looks like we don't have any more questions coming in. Um, Thank you for listening, and thanks for having me, the Diabetes Association of Atlanta.
Yeah, thank you so much, Linda, and thank you to everyone who's joined us today. We hope you found this information helpful for your health and your wellness. We meet here every fourth Wednesday of the month virtually. Next month, we're going to be joined by Maureen Hines. Promise it's going to be another great session, so we'd love if you attended then as well. And like Linda said, this is recorded. So if you want to revisit any of this information, it will be on our YouTube channel. We're going to post that soon. And if there's no more questions, then we'll end there. Thank you so much for attending. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day.